Okay, this is chapter 31 of Good Girl, Bad Blood. 31. Suspended, Pip sank into the stool in the kitchen, avoiding her dad's eyes. Yes, her mom was standing on the other side of the room, Pip in the middle, talking around her over her head. For 3 days. What about Columbia, Pippa? Who was the other student? Dad asked, his voice softening where her mom's had grown sharper. Anthony Lau. Pip glanced up, catching the face her dad pulled. Bottom lip rolled up over the top, eyes crinkling like he wasn't surprised. What's that look for? Her mom said. Nothing. Her dad rearranged his face, untucking his lip. Just never really liked that kid much. How is that helping right now, Victor? Her mom snapped. Sorry, it's not, he said, exchanging a look with Pip. It was quick, but it was enough, and she felt a little less alone out there in the middle of the room. Why did you do it, Pip? I don't know. You don't know? Her mom said. You shoved him against a locker with your arm on his throat. How do you not know how that happens? You're lucky that Kara, Zach, and Connor were there and defended you to Mrs. Morgan, told her aunt provoked you, otherwise you would have been expelled. How did he provoke you, Pickle? Her dad asked. Called me a liar, she said. The internet thinks I'm a liar. A jury of 12 peers thinks I'm a liar. My own friends think I'm a liar. So I guess I'm a liar now, and Max Hastings is a good guy. I'm sorry about the verdict, her dad said. That must be really hard for you. Harder for the people he drugged and raped, she said. Yes, and it's unfair and awful, her mom said with a frown. But that's not an excuse for your violent behavior. I'm not making an excuse. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Pip said flatly. It happened and I don't feel guilty. He deserved it. What are you saying? Her mom said. This isn't like you. What if it is? Pip rose from the stool. What if this is exactly like me? Pip, don't shout at your mother, her dad said, crossing over to her mom's side, abandoning her in the middle. Shouting? Really? Pip said, really shouting now. That's what we're focusing on? A serial rapist walked free today. Jamie has been missing 6 whole days and might be dead. Oh, but the real problem is that I'm shouting. Calm down, please, he said. I can't calm down anymore. Why should I? Her phone was face down on the floor. She hadn't looked at it for an hour, sitting there underneath her desk, her fingers hooked around her toes. Her head was pressed against the cool wood of the desk leg, eyes hiding from the light. She hadn't gone down for dinner, said she wasn't hungry, even though her dad came up and said they didn't have to talk about it, not in front of Josh. But she didn't want to sit there at the table in a fake truce mid-argument. An argument that couldn't end because she wasn't sorry, she knew that, and that's what her mom wanted from her. She heard a knock at the front door, a knock she knew, long, short, long. The door opened and closed, and then the footsteps she knew too, the scuff of Ravi's sneakers on the wood floor before he took them off and lined them up neatly by the doormat. And the next thing she heard was her mom's voice passing by the stairs. She's in her room. See if you can talk any sense into her. Ravi couldn't find her as he stepped into the room, not until she said quietly, I'm down here. He bent down, knees clicking as his face came into view. Why aren't you answering your phone? He said. Pip looked at her face-down phone out of arm's reach. Are you okay? He said, and she wanted, more than anything, to say no, to slide out from under the desk and fall into him, to stay there in his gaze, wrapping herself up in it, and never step foot outside again, to let him tell her it was all going to be okay, even though neither of them knew it would be. She wanted just to be the Pip she knew she was with Ravi for a while, but that Pip wasn't here right now, and maybe she really was gone. No, she said. Your parents are worried about you. Don't need their worry, she sniffled. I'm worried about you, Ravi said. She put her head against the desk leg again. Don't need yours either. Can you come out and talk to me? He said gently. Please. Did he smile? She asked. Did he smile when they said not guilty? I couldn't see his face. Ravi offered his hand to help Pip out from under the desk. She didn't take it, crawling out on her own and standing up. I bet he smiled. She ran her finger along the sharp edge of the desk, pressing in until it hurt her. Why does that matter? It matters, she said. I'm sorry. Ravi tried to hold her eyes, but her gaze kept slipping away. If there was anything I could do to change it, I would. Anything, but there's nothing we can do now, and you getting suspended because you're so angry about Max, he's not worth any of that. So he just wins? No, Ravi abandoned his sentence, stepping over to her, his arms out to pull her in and wrap her up. And maybe it was because Max's angled face flashed into her head, or maybe she didn't want Ravi to get too close to the after scream still thrumming inside her, but she pulled away from him. What? His arms fell back to his sides, his eyes darkening, deepening. What are you doing? I don't know. So what is it? You just want to hate the world right now, including me? Maybe, she said. Pip? Well, what's the point? Her voice snagged against her dried out throat. What was the point in everything we did last year? I thought I was doing it for the truth. But guess what? The truth doesn't matter. It doesn't. Max Hastings is innocent, and I'm a liar, and Jamie Reynolds isn't missing. That's the truth now. Her eyes filled. What if I can't save him? What if I'm not good enough to save him? What if I'm not good, Ravi? We will find him, Ravi said. I need to. And you think I don't, she said. I might not know him like you do, and I can't explain it, but I need Jamie to be okay. He knew my brother, was friends with him and Andy at school. It's like it's happening all over again 6 years later, and this time I actually have a chance, a small chance, to help save Connor's brother when I had no hope of saving my own. I know Jamie isn't Sal, but this feels like some kind of second chance for me. You aren't on your own here, so stop pushing people away. Stop pushing me away. Pip's hands gripped the desk, bones pushing through her skin. He needed to get away from her in case she couldn't control it again. The scream. I just want to be alone. Fine, Ravi said, scratching the phantom itch at the back of his head. I'll go. I know you're only lashing out because you're angry. I'm angry too. And you don't mean it. You know you don't mean it. He sighed. Let me know when you remember who I am. Who you are. Ravi moved over to the door, his hand stalling in the air before it, slightly cocked. I love you, he said angrily, not looking at her. He slammed the handle down and walked out, the door juddering behind him.